perfect right there, and I'd love to move the garbage there so it doesn't keep getting knocked against that wall. Is it okay if I move that there, or you want me to take care of that later?
Later.
Okay.
Okay. So talk to me. What's happening?
Yeah.
Again, nice to meet you. Yeah.
So I found you on social media,
Okay.
Instagram. I was inspired by just like your inspiration and wisdom that you put out about faith,
Absolutely.
your journey before real estate, and also your journey now.
Right.
So yeah, so I was inspired by it, and I had to ask myself like, dang, like I need to get myself together. I need to be on his level.
Right.
And I seen that you had a book.
Right.
You had a book, The Big Picture.
The bigger picture. Right.
So I had plans on reaching out to you. I just didn't know when. I was like, okay, let me learn more about this book. I want to speak to him in person just to
Right.
get his perspective on what inspired him to write the book.
Right. So, kind of what inspired me is just kind of giving motivation to people, inspiring other people to say, hey, because a lot of times when you're going through things,
Yeah.
you think you're going through it and it's something new, and like the Bible say, it's nothing new under the sun. You know what I'm saying? We all, other people that been through different journeys, different trials. So if I can use my trials to inspire people to say, hey, it don't matter where you at right now, it's not over. You understand what I'm saying? There's still opportunity to come up from it, and you still should be motivated and inspired to do better and improve.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason behind me writing the book, is just to give somebody hope that it doesn't matter what you're going through, that there's always hope and faith.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, we were put on this earth to cast the net, cast the net. Not only that, but to teach people how to fish.
Absolutely.
So they can do it, for themselves.
Right.
And then invest in, somebody else's life.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are supposed to be fishers of men.
Yeah, yep.
Absolutely. So that's kind of what I was, motivated me, inspired me to write that book. And, when you reached out to me saying, would I have an opportunity to, sit down and talk with you, I said, yeah. Again, just knowing that you were inspired, it was a good opportunity. Again, my schedule is hectic, crazy.
Yeah,
There's no way I could meet everybody that, reached out to me, but it was just something about you that kind of said, hey, let's meet with them and talk to them and kind of see how we can help them out.
And I do believe that God has brought me here. I know for a fact.
The steps of a righteous man are ordered.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah.
So me, I don't have a real estate background, but I do have family. I come from a family of realtors and investors. So I wasn't, necessarily inspired at the time until 5 months ago. 5 months ago, I purchased a book, Multifamily Millionaires by Brandon Turner. Read the book, and I contacted my cousin that has his own brokerage. He follows you, by the way. I spoke highly about you.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, he follows you on Instagram, and I told him, I need a mentor. I need somebody that's in the lane that I'm trying to get into.
Right.
And I said, one thing about me, I'm nosy.
You gotta be. Nobody.
I want to know everything.
Yeah.
I want to get my hands in everything.
Right.
That way, so I can do it for myself, but also do it for, God's people.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's I look at that as, obviously we're put here for, God's purpose, number one. And I always look at how I could minister to people. What is my ministry? And my ministry is knowledge and giving that knowledge back. So, I don't have a problem trying to, suffocate or, keep that knowledge to myself, but actually spread it amongst our people. Again, the Bible also says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. So, if I think I can help out anybody by, giving them the knowledge that I do have, that's what I aspire to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
But yeah, man, I was again, like I was saying before, God, He put me in a position after I read the book. It took action.
That's you gotta do.
Yeah.
He always requires us to take action.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, like you brought up, the fishing and in that scripture it talks about, you cast out. He told the disciples, cast your net out. You know what I'm saying? They said, I've been towing all night and haven't been able to catch anything.
Yeah.
And he said, cast the net out deeper. You know what I'm saying? Go deeper. But again, it always requires actions on our part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And even when he healed the woman, she had to take action to touch the garment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he's always going to act and require action on our end. Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of action, we all want success, right? I went to the gym last night. I did some research on you. I saw you were a community, advocate, a supporter for the community. Also, seeing that you are a real estate investor.
Right.
So you spoke a lot about success. You said success is planned and scheduled, but it doesn't fall on you.
Right.
So you have to take action.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but you have to ask God to put you in the right lane.
Absolutely.
To allow you to see your purpose.
Absolutely.
To help you get towards success.
Absolutely.
So I was like, dang, that really resonated with me because I was like, okay, spoke to God, I fast for 3 days.
Awesome.
And that's when, I fasted 3 days. God gave me the answer. He told me, hey, you need to invest in a rental property. Do it for yourself, but also do it for your family. And find somebody that's in that
a
lane.
good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people say, well, do I supposed to do, if it wasn't God's desire and God's will for us to have more, then why would he tell us a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is his desire. So it's not that we going against God's will by trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? He said, again, I'm going to bless you beyond, you know what I'm saying, you can even ask for. You know what I'm saying? So
Beyond all measures.
Beyond all measures. So again, it's God's will for us to prosper. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to leave an inheritance for our children's children. And you can't do that working in a 9 to 5.
You also mentioned that in the book too. I haven't read it. I just read, a summary of it. But that's the reason why I'm here. I do want to purchase the book. Invest in you.
Right.
Vice versa.
Exactly. I appreciate that.
And then, set up a meeting just to discuss, do like a recap. Not a recap, but
like just ask any questions you may have based on the book. Once you went, hey, what do you mean by this? So explain. So I definitely get it. I definitely get it. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of real estate, I invested in a rental property. I closed on it yesterday.
Oh, congratulations!
Because I took action, and it started from one book, and then just doing research on real estate.
That's how I started, by the way.
Yeah. So what book did you? What book
So
you?
In coming out of college, well, actually, when I was in college, I had a college professor who was doing a marketing course on how those infomercials used to have to get rich quick in real estate. And again, this was back in 96, and it did had the infomercial where the guy on the island and enjoying life, and you know what I'm saying. And obviously today, as a successful entrepreneur, I know that's not reality.
Yeah.
But back then, as a kid, that's what inspired me. Right now, instead of on the island, now you see all of these influencers driving the fancy cars. That's what's in. Get in. I'll teach you how to do real estate. Teach you how to whatever they selling. They selling a lifestyle first, right?
Yeah.
But back then it was just it was the island. So again, so as I'm going through it back then, and going through going through that marketing course, I asked my professor, I said, so can I, if I invested in real estate, could I really end up like that guy, on that island with rental properties? He said, yeah, but his course was like $3,000. You know what I'm saying? At the time, I'm a college student. I can't afford $3,000. So my professor was like, yeah, you can have that type of lifestyle if you invest in real estate, but you don't got to spend $3,000 and learn how to invest in real estate. And again, he had a book. He was like, I got a book. This book, I don't know, $9.99 or $16.99. I can teach you basically what he's going to teach you, and after that, you can invest in real estate. So I took the book. I read the book. 6 months to a year later, I was investing in my first rental property. But again, like you just said, all of that was divine measure. I don't know where I would be today had I not invested, had I not had that professor at that time and he was teaching that course on real estate.
Yeah.
And again, I wish, I don't know if I can go look at my freshman transcripts and see who that professor was. Again, I didn't know years later it was going to develop into what it developed into, but I believe, it was definitely God.
He spoke to him. He spoke through him to you.
That's the only way. That's the only way. So I wish I could look him up and just go back and just say, thank him and say this all started based on you having that class that day. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you pretty much, I had questions. Okay. So my question was, what initially inspired you to begin, to continue your journey now in 2025? In what ways has your faith in God guided and supported you along the way?
So my everything is my faith. I mean, my faith and my belief and you can have faith, beliefs, but you also have to have trust in God. You know what I'm saying? Because again, people can have faith in God and believe in God, but when something go wrong, do they still trust God? You understand what I'm saying? You can, again, I believe in God, but when everything, I was losing everything that I had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I still trusted God.
Yeah.
And it was like the Job situation. You know what I'm saying? And his wife said, you need to curse God, and die. And he was like, who am I to only, thank God when I have everything? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I got to thank God only in this situation and thanking him and trusting God in what you're going through right now. So trusting God when you're going through those difficult times is really showing your faith. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the Bible also says, I know, the plans I have for you. And it also talks about, when you think something is going wrong, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's all in God's favor. You know what I'm saying? I got to get the exact scripture, but he just talks about what man meant for bad, evil, I meant for good. You know what I'm saying? Because everything works in God's perfect plan. And that's where the trust comes in when it's a time of difficult and, are you still trusting in God?
And I think it's something that we have to consider every day, just trusting, but also walking with him. Because at times, like, I struggle with this. As a human, I only reach out to God, not only reach out to God, but there's times where I reach out based off situations.
We can't do that.
Situational needs.
Right. Yeah, and we
should be a walk, an everyday walk.
Yeah, you can't, again, just look at it like this, you know, and God says I'm a jealous God.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So just think about it like from a standpoint of a friend or a brother. Like, how do you feel if that your friend, your brother, or somebody only reached out to you in a time of need?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But spending all his time with other people, you see him enjoying this, enjoying life, enjoying that, and then when he, you know, when he needs something, he come to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That will make you jealous because you're like, you spending all your precious time when you don't need me with these other people. You know what I'm saying? And then as soon as you need me, you come back. As soon as you need something, you come to me. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm a jealous guy.
Yeah.
So just think of it from that standpoint. So no, we gotta, I try to, and again, I'm not perfect in doing this, but I try to make sure I give God time every day. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be that person. I only go to God in time of need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's unfair to God. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But yeah, that's something that we all struggle with, but I'm getting better at. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, so there's a lot of trials that a young black person, a black man at that, goes through.
Right.
So it took me to, expand my horizon, go to college,
So your
diversify.
your situation is similar to mine. Hence, that's why my book is called The Bigger Picture.
Yeah.
Because, and I got a picture in my office. Basically, you grew up on the south side of Chicago. I grew up on Guthrie, which was at the time one of the worst streets in the state of Indiana. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, murders, drugs, everything. It was, big projects. But despite all of those distractions that were going on around me, I still kept my faith and focus on a bigger picture. What's the bigger picture? The bigger picture is me getting out this, this situation, getting my family out of this situation, and then coming back to help the people in this situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, again, I can stay anywhere in the world. And like, back when that guy was doing that infomercial on real estate on the island running, I can literally do that now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think my ministry is to be here, be in my community, show my community that somebody that accomplished didn't get up and just move away and forget about the hood. You know what I'm saying? Because, I believe you can always take somebody out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of somebody. You know what I'm saying? In the positive way. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Yes, but my mind has left the hood. You know what I'm saying? But my heart hasn't. You know what I'm saying? My heart is always going to be in the hood. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's who molded me to who I am today.
Yeah.
So I haven't forgot that. And I always try to inspire. Man, I see little kids, all the time. And, obviously I drive different cars that they like. So they'll see me driving it. And I purposely drive, and every time I drive around little kids, you know what I'm saying, in the neighborhood, they always run up to my car. Oh, that's a nice car. You got this, you got that. I'll always stop and have a conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? And let them know, man, I'm from where you from. You know what I'm saying? Because they need to see somebody in a positive light to say, oh, man, he did it. I can too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people look at it like, man, you showing off, you doing. No, I'm not. I'm inspiring that kid. Because again, when I grew up, the only people that I seen that had the nice cars, the jewelries, was the drug dealers.
Yeah.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
You answered my question because I was going to ask you, like, how do you inspire someone such as kids, or young adults to shift their mindset to do better?
Right.
You answered that
Yeah,
perfectly.
you got to, because again, I don't know a kid that don't want to grow up and have this or have that. You know what I'm saying? That's why so many kids inspire to be athletes, because that's who they see with all of these things. And obviously the athletes, the entertainers, the rappers, you know what I'm saying? If you ask a kid in first, second, or even up to sixth, seventh, or whatever, what they want to do, they want to be an athlete. They want to be an entertainer, a rapper, a basketball, football, baseball. Why? Because they want the things that come with that life. You know what I'm saying? So if they see somebody like myself from the same hood that they from, you know what I'm saying, still giving back, still here, and they see me driving all the same cars that they favorite athlete or rapper driving, you can't tell me somebody not going to want to be a real estate investor, an entrepreneur. That's inevitable. So a lot of times when people look at it like, oh man, is he showing off? You ain't got it. No, you don't. No, because I have to inspire those people that's in my community. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go, I'm always asked to go speak to schools, to go speak to, different organizations. You know what I'm saying? And I speak to kids in the school. Couple months ago, I went to go speak to some kids in the school. We talking, and I asked people what's they, do they watch videos on whatever cars, what their favorite cars? They was like, my favorite car, I want a Cybertruck. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the top car at the time. So, lo and behold, I'm like, well, I got one. The class went bananas. You know what I'm saying?
And they would get that.
Right. And they was like, you got a Cybertruck? No, you don't. No, you don't. So I told them, I'm like, I actually got two. I said, look outside. My Cybertruck, and again, I believe it was God positioning. I didn't know where the classroom was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My Cybertruck happened to be right outside the class. The kids went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Now they talking, going home, telling they parents, we had somebody up here, you know what I'm saying, that was from out here, and he got a, you know what I'm saying? Now, again, absolutely. And then now that's going to inspire them. Again, if they can do it, I can too. You know what I'm saying? Like Kanye got a song. His song is like, I can't remember how it go, but he was like, I wanted to be a drug dealer because the only person in the hood with money was drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? So again, now if people in the hood see somebody that's not a drug dealer, not doing this, but accomplishing more than the drug dealers, that's what they go inspire to be. Someone is going to aspire these kids. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's an athlete, whether it's a drug dealer, or whoever, let it be an entrepreneur that inspire these kids. You know what I'm saying? And if they can see that up close, man, if I can change some kids from taking that left, wrong turn, you know what I'm saying, and doing the right thing based on they said, man, if he can do it the right way, so can I. Man, I think I did my mission. I fulfilled my mission.
Man, you did, and you brought me here.
Yeah.
I would say stalked you on social media.
Yeah, and, it's cool. We
I
all
just kind of
inspired.
saw myself. We all have dreams, right?
Absolutely.
I had a dream of myself being at the level that you're at now.
Right, and you absolutely can. You know what I'm saying? You absolutely can through. Like you said, you made your first step. I don't know how old you are, but you know what I'm saying.
29.
29. I left Foot Locker. So just give you some. At 29, I thought I had the world figured out. I literally thought, I'm like, because you hear life is hard, life is this. You know what I'm saying? At 29 years old, I left Foot Locker. Great job, $65,000 a year to do my own thing in real estate. You know what I'm saying? And do real estate full time. Thinking I had life figured out. I literally remember a conversation having with one of my friends like, man, life is easier than what people said it was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this was at 29. By the time I was 32, I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? And I believe, but again, I 100% believe God was humbling me through that situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people always say, man, what you so humble. I'm like, man, when you felt that you've accomplished so much and you lose everything, you know God can do that again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I always said, man, if he did this, then I need to know that I need to stay humble, and you know what I'm saying, and no matter what I go through, just trust God. And again, like you say, this office I purchased this building, 22 years ago, and I remember when I lost everything. I actually was a couple weeks. I was during the '08 crash. I was, a couple weeks from losing this. It was just a matter of time. I was 5-6 months behind on mortgage payments. I'm like, just come get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a ride it out, but I know you coming to get it. And what happened was God showed up. You know what I'm saying? I did a loan modification. I was able to keep this building. You know what I'm saying? Which is only a story that God could have worked out. I didn't have no job. Remember, I left.
Yeah.
But they modified my loan I didn't know how I was going to pay it because I still didn't have no income. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but God showed up, worked it out. Back then I purchased the building for $190,000. By the time, like 2 years ago, I just had it reappraised to the appraised at $650,000. You know what I'm saying? So think about that, how God made that happen. You know what I'm saying? And then another story is I'm in this office, and the office is lively now with a whole bunch of people and different businesses on whatever. But I remember me up front, man, losing everything. And I'm literally shaking my head at the counter, at the desk. And I'm like, God, literally my exact conversation is like, God, what I'm going to do? I had no answer. But he said, okay, you asking me, you trusting in me, you coming to me. He showed out again. So he took my head to a cell phone sign right across the street from right here. Yeah. And he said, and it was like, it was a cell phone company, a prepaid company. So I said, okay, let me call and see what I need to do. I got on the phone that night. I remember it was dark. I got on the phone. Somebody answered, doing they do Easy Stream Wireless. I became an authorized dealer that night, and maybe 4 years later, I own 34 Boost Mobile stores. All the properties that I acquired and lost in '08 crash, man, God showed up. I was able to purchase so many different properties back, free and clear, no mortgage. So it went from having $100,000 mortgage on properties to purchasing 5, 6, I think 10 back, no mortgage. That's only God. You know what I'm saying? Stories like that is so perfect. You know what I'm saying? It only can be God. Yeah. And he made it happen. But I went to him and asked him, and he showed me the way. You know what I'm saying? So
it's like those are all evidence of
absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But man, that's pretty much all the questions I had. But yeah, I appreciate you for reaching out to me. No problem.
So what's your next steps? What you looking at?
So my next steps, I have some homework. So I have to, introduce myself to my new tenants. Go over some rules, print out a new lease agreement.
So you can't. Did they have a lease?
Yeah, they already had a lease.
So you can't.
Oh, I can't update it.
So you have to honor the terms of their previous lease. Oh, obviously, you can, because the lease is a contract. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you have to honor the terms of that lease agreement. Were they month to month? Were they
month to month?
Okay, so you just got to give them 30-day notice to change that.
Okay.
So obviously, I don't know all the details of the unit or nothing like that, but we can kind of go over that later if you got some questions. Yeah. My first unit, I'll never forget it. 4918 Barron. It was a 4-unit. I stayed in one of the apartments, rented out the other 3. Now, mind you, this was, my mortgage back then. I paid $89,000 for the unit. Again, you never forget your first. You know what I'm saying? Your first anything. So I paid $89,000 for my mortgage, taxes, insurance, and everything was like $735.
Yeah.
And I'm staying rent free, collecting. But back then I'm only collecting 500 per unit, so I'm collecting 1,500, and I'm staying rent free. So a lot of times when I was growing up, people police thought I was a drug dealer because I had. Now, mind you, I'm making $65,000 a year at Foot Locker, which in early 2000s, that's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not paying a mortgage, and you know what I'm saying? I got money. Exactly. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This was in literally 99, 2000. I'm making 65,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? With no bills, no kids. So I did what any young kid would do. So when I see the NBA players doing, going to get that, and you as an adult, you like, man, that don't make no sense. But as a kid, that make perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a ball till I fall. Yeah. But I was 22, 23, so I literally got an Escalade off the showroom floor. You know what I'm saying? And a Chrysler 300M off the showroom floor. Yeah. And again, as a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, and then all the people in the neighborhood see me wearing stripes. Yeah. They thinking that's minimum wage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you working at Foot Locker, you making minimum wage. You know what I'm saying? But not knowing I'm the general manager. You know what I'm saying? Now, I started off at $3.75 an hour, but I worked my way up. To the $65,000 a year. But again, I'm 23. People in the hood. Again, I'm from the hood, so when I get some, I'm coming back to the hood, driving up down the hood. You know what I'm saying? And they see me, I got an Escalade, and then back then I remember I had OnStar. So you hit a button, they like, yeah, how can I help you, Mr. Ransford? People like that was unheard of. I was like one of the first people in the hood with that. So, all those things, man, just, coming back to the hood and, people, police just seeing me, man, he got to be selling drugs. That's the first thing they go think. Exactly. Not looking at it like, man, he making X amount of dollars with no overhead. But again, I wasn't smart with it. I should have, took that money and bought more property. But I'm like, eventually I did buy another 4-unit, but I could have been, it wasn't no blueprint on how something should be done. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have no blueprint. I just, like I said, I thought I had things figured out. So I'm like, I got a building. I ain't got no mortgage. I mean, tenants cover my mortgage. I ain't think, man, something might go wrong. You know what I'm saying?
It's no excuses.
Yeah. So, but again, you live and you learn. Hopefully I can pass down my experiences to, somebody like you, and you can learn from my mistakes. That's what kind of mentor do. They kind of escalate your path to learning versus going through every step. It's like, okay, it's like think about it like this. You on you know how you go to an airport or you go to a restaurant and they got the stair option. Yeah. Or they got the Escalade option. You know what I'm saying? Both of them go get you to the exact same place. You know what I'm saying? The the stairs go get you there, not as quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the Escalade go get you there much faster. You know what I'm saying? Right, and you not go exert as much energy. You know what I'm saying? So that's how a mentor is. And that's how you got to look at it. You can get there on your own, but it's go exert a lot more energy just walking up those stairs. You know what I'm saying? Versus the mentor is the Escalade, go get you to the same place just to get you there faster with not exerting that much more energy. So that's how you got to look at the mentor. But, and right now, as, entrepreneur in my level, I'm like, okay, I want that mentor to take me to even greater heights. You know what I'm saying? And again, I feel like I've accomplished a lot through, the grace of God and through God, but I still think I haven't reached the peak of my success. So
As of right now, you're focused on like the exponential growth aspect.
right,
Exponential meaning, it's not just fixed numbers; it's by percentages. So it doubles over time. Where linear, it's like just a constant
right,
set number.
right,
And that's how we gotta look at life. You gotta think big. Look at the big picture.
absolutely,
Think big in every aspect. Faith,
absolutely,
your job, um, your family. You gotta think big.
right.
There has to be exponential growth in all of those
Absolutely.
areas.
Absolutely. So what would you say your short-term 2-year goal is?
I asked myself that this morning. I couldn't really think of it. Um, I am. I'm a full-time employee. I have a job, but I want to be in a position where I don't want to work a 9 to 5 in 2 years. I have this property. I asked myself. I told myself that I have to get another property next year.
So what type of property? How many?
It's a rental property.
It's a
Multifamily.
Okay, how many?
Two units.
Okay, are you staying in one?
No,
Okay, you rent them both out?
rent them both out.
So where you
Where,
staying?
where am I staying? Staying with my mother.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Make absolutely perfect sense.
Yeah. So I had to. I told my wife, hey, let's think big. I want you to see the vision, and it took me to just sit her down and show her on paper, hey, this is the direction that I want us to go. But in order for me to do that, I have to execute and I have to create plans. Not only create plans, I have to create a routine for myself. I was always insecure about my health. I used to be chunky until I got a personal trainer last year. His name is Mike Ragland. He lives in Lexington, Kentucky. He's a bodybuilder. So he put me on a routine. He said, "Hey, I'm going to give you this routine, but if you want